What's up, guys? We are back with another Super 7 Ultimates G.I. Joe Wave 2 review, and we are taking a look at the first of two female figures in the line, but also in this wave. We're taking a look at Lady J today. Now, she, of course, comes in our standard Ultimate style packaging. You've got the trapezoidal shape. You've got the green camo for the good guys with the Joe logo emblazoned on the front and the back, stamped there on the slipcover. Pop that off, and you've got her there, of course, in the big window. You've got your Joe logo up top. She has her nameplate dog tag down there on the bottom, and then the back of the package gives us that computer screen readout. You've got your map, your radar, your control panel, and then some shots from the animation as well. So let's do it. Let's pull her out and take a look. And here we go, out of the package, our Ultimates Lady J, the first of two, and the first one I'm getting to, female figures in this line. And there is a lot of good with this one, but kind of just like with Flint, it's the exact same thing where she does not have the same level of face paint as Duke. She has more than Flint, and she does benefit from that, but she doesn't have as much as Duke, and she suffers from that perspective. There's also a sizing thing going on with this figure that I find to be very weird, but we'll get to that. So let's see what she can do, how she moves around. I mean, she's very similar to what you might expect, but she's also a little bit different because of just how they decided to do her torso. Now, to start with her head, she unfortunately is very locked down for reasons I can't understand. She only has a swivel. It's a ball peg still in this, it's a normal system for an Ultimate, but she just has no range. There's just nothing there. The arms go out at the shoulders pretty much all the way. They swivel, of course. You've got your bicep swivel, single jointed 90-degree elbow, maybe slightly more. And then you've got hinges, you've got rotation at the wrist. The torso is a diaphragm cut, but it's one of those that doesn't really do a whole lot. She can go backwards slightly, but she can't crunch because of it. And she does twist, but she also has a waist twist still too, so it's almost unnecessary for her to have that, really. It's not really doing her any favors, unfortunately. Legs go out pretty decent, surprisingly for this line, because some of the figures are surprisingly locked down. She's able to go a bit further than the guys. Kick forward about that far. She does have some kick backwards, which is unique. And then you've got thigh twist up there. You've got your single jointed knees, 90 degrees. And then you've got a boot cut on her. You got a rocker, really good rocker. And we've got hinges down at those ankles. So she moves okay. I still think, the big area for this one is going to be that head, because I wish she could look up or down, or at least tilt her head. I'm not too surprised about the range on the torso, but it's still an area of concern. If you're going to have a torso cut, it needs to have hinge forward, backward, or at least some tilt. There's no reason for it to swivel if the waist can also swivel in addition. So she's ultimately, no pun intended, very similar to the rest, but also slightly different at the same time just because of this body structure. Again, similarly to Flint, the visuals on this figure are definitely suffering in the exact same way. And it's kind of weird because they are very similar figures in terms of color scheme. This is a female version and he's the male version, basically. You've got a green top, you've got some exposed chest, you've got exposed forearms, and then you've got, army pants and boots, legs. A lot of molded plastic on this one. The arms are almost entirely molded plastic. The torso is almost entirely molded plastic. The legs are entirely molded plastic. The boots are painted, which I find kind of odd in comparison to the rest, but the finish actually looks pretty decent down there. She's got some slightly free-floating stuff as far as the belt goes. The canteen back here is something you put on. She's got her little quiver back here, which does look good, and the tips on all these have some nice metallic to them. It fits her okay. It's not, the collar kind of gets in the way, so you can kind of tuck it under, and it'll sort of keep it down. She comes with a knife on the shirt there, and it actually comes out. I was not aware of that until I started messing around. So that knife is a little bonus accessory in some ways. She's got her belt, which is fully sculpted, and some paint on that. But there isn't a lot of paint on her, really. I mean, the forearms are not painted. The sort of clavicle chest area is painted, and it is fairly close in skin tone to this unpainted plastic, as is the lower part of her upper arm, the top of her elbow. It's painted just because this arm is green, so it's close. But then we have our head sculpt, and this is the problem again, because there's no face paint. She does benefit a little bit from the fact that they gave her some shading on her cheekbones. Just, I guess being a female, she's going to get a little blush, but there is no overall skin tone face paint. So it's the exact same issue that Flint has, and it's the opposite direction from Duke. I don't know if this is a mistake or if this is something that was somehow overlooked. I find it weird that this would be a purposeful decision on Super 7's part to do this, especially when we already had an example of what it could be in this line, and then also, like, say, in Silverhawks, which are also doing fully painted faces. So this is definitely weird. I do believe this sculpt is there, so if, you know, some enterprising young fan wants to try to paint this up, I bet it's going to look stellar. But the paint here does leave a lot to be desired. There is literally no other way to say it. And she does have a pretty solid hair sculpt. That's fully painted, thankfully, of course, because it's, you know, a solid piece. But the face is missing a lot of that paint, which really just kind of downgrades the overall experience. Because the rest of the figure looks fine, but then you've got a face it's just kind of waxy and in many ways soft. Now, as far as some size comparisons go, let's start with other Ultimates, and this is where things are kind of crazy because Lady Jaye is literally the exact same size as all the other figures in this line. I mean, I guess Flint is maybe slightly taller, but she looks huge compared to some of these other figures. And look how much taller she is than Cheetara. And I know I've said, and I've used Lion-O as an example against the males, but they're not that much taller than Lion-O. She is almost a head taller than Cheetara if you don't take her hair into consideration. So there is a pretty sizable female figure here. She's kind of wonky in scale in that way. Now let's take these aside and do some other lines. Let's do a classified figure. So here is Spirits, once again representing classified, and he's absolutely dwarfed by her. And let's do a female Marvel Legends figure just for another female comparison. I mean, obviously they're not the same scale, but she is huge compared to Mystique. And then let's take Spirit aside. Let's do one more. Let's do Mythic Legions. And this maybe is a really good example exactly how tall she is, because she's actually taller, slightly taller here than Carpathia, and in no way should that match up, considering Ultimates and Legions are pretty close when it comes to scale. So she definitely does skew on the large side. At the end of the day, I don't know that I truly care about it, because she's still going to be on the shelf with a bunch of big figures to begin with, but she does seem like she is slightly too tall. Now, as far as accessories goes, Lady Jaye has, well, she probably has as much as anybody else, but they kind of went in like an almost insane direction with what you're provided here, and it seems excessive. Like, I don't know that I'm ever going to really feel the need to switch out some of this stuff, but for someone out there, this is the coolest thing ever. So we get a bunch of heads, we get some hands, all that stuff. So we get like her standard expression here in the box. You get an angry head sculpt, which it looks angry enough, but there's still, you know, the lack of paint on these faces really makes it hard to actually tell how different this one is from the standard one. You can sort of see like a gritting of the teeth. And then in typical fashion for the Joes, she gets the headset head, and hers actually looks halfway decent compared to the other heads she has. This one looks slightly better to me in terms of the eyes and the eyebrows, but it could just be, you know, a difference between my particular head sculpts here when it comes to that. And then we get 6 extra hands. We get fists on her in the box. You get a set of vertically hinged standard gripping hands. You get a set of wider gripping hands, which are necessary for some of these accessories. And then you get a set of these, you know, slightly cupping, gesturing, style posy kind of hands. We get this thing, which I think is like a missile launcher of some kind, and then an actual missile to go with it. So you get that. We get the standard issue Joe rifle, laser rifle, so got a handful of these at this point. You get a camera with a very, very sturdy strap on it. We get her spears. So you get a standard one. You get this one, which has like the, I don't even know what it is. The javelin spear or something like that. Is that what this thing is? I don't remember. So you got that. And then we also get this little drinking straw. So this is a hollow one. It's got a hole in the end. And you get like 15 different tips. It's not 15, but there's a lot. So you got this one. You got like the grappling hook one here. And like they're all really similar to the point where I don't really know what's supposed to be different about them. I'm sure somebody out there has some encyclopedic knowledge of what these things are for, but that person is not me. But they look cool. They're all obviously very different, and I would assume they are shown at some point. I just couldn't begin to tell you how different some of these tips were in the cartoon. But like there really, really are a lot of them. I was really confused as to what these were at first, and I realized that, oh yeah, she has different tips for these. And we're still going. We're still going. And then we also get this one. This one's the coolest one. Gotta save the best for last. Like the rocket one. And of course she also, you know, she has her quiver, which is an accessory. She has that canteen back there, which is also an accessory. And then she has, you know, the so-called hidden accessory knife right there too, which I thought was kind of cool. So she does have a decent amount of stuff. I don't think it's nearly as substantial as some of the other figures. Like I said, this to me, this kind of stuff seems kind of insane to me and what I plan to do with her, but someone out there is probably overjoyed with that. So she does have a lot of stuff. I think some of it is kind of nuts in terms of what they gave us, but she is very stacked just like the rest of this line. So overall, Lady Jaye's okay in the same way that Flint is okay. They're both at the bottom of the list in this wave for me. Most of that is just kind of put on the faces. I can deal with the rest of these figures just fine. They move exactly how I expected, honestly. They look okay from the neck down. They come with a lot of really good accessories, but the faces just they just lose me. There is no detail here and nothing that really sucks me in as far as a cartoon look with her. She is a little bit better off because she does get some sort of makeup style paint going on. But at the end of the day, compared to Duke, she is a night and day difference when it comes to what could have been present on this figure. So that's going to do it for this look at the Super 7 Ultimates G.I. Joe Wave 2 Lady Jaye. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.